Spoiler alert, you are going to die. I'm going to die. We all have to face and cross that threshold at some point, but we are terrified to even talk about it. You probably don't even want to watch a video about it. But if we take this terrifying threshold and work with it for the opportunity it is, magic happens. I mean, 99% of people deal with their fear of death by just putting their heads in the sand and just ignoring it. But for those few brave souls who want to know what it really means to feel alive, all of alive, including what it means to die, there is a better approach. And the secret lies inside of your dreams. It was actually my fear of death that got me into lucid dreaming in the first place, and those practices helped me to transform my relationship to that fear. So here are 3 ways you can work with your dream space to soften the fear of death, starting with the easiest, and we're going to work our way through to the most advanced. The first practice doesn't require any lucid dreaming or any advanced training, simply a powerful shift in perspective to your dream state. It's useful to think of how the Tibetan Buddhists consider the dream. They really look at your nighttime dreams like what they call the practice dream. So if this life, our waking state, is the big dream, where we're co-creating, learning, growing, every single night we get like a practice round. And in terms of the parallels to death, the Tibetan Buddhists use the dream state to prepare for death because they believe, and I certainly have had this experience myself, and you will when you explore this, that every single night we essentially experience a mini death. So with this practice, what you're going to do is you're going to start paying more attention to the nature, the shifting nature of dissolution and reconstruction of your dreams. Every single night when you go to sleep, you are dissolving your ego construct and disappearing into deep, non-dual, non-REM sleep, and then reconstructing your self-structure up into a dream, and then back into waking state. If you pay attention, you essentially go through multiple little deaths every single night. And one of the most powerful reflections dreams can offer us is, of course, upon waking. You just spent this whole night of dreaming, thinking you were somewhere else, maybe thinking you were someone else, really fully invested in that dream, upset by, excited by, moved by whatever was going on in the content of your dream. But upon waking, what do you realize? Like all of that was just an illusion. And now I'm waking up back into reality, right? And because we're so used to it, we often don't think about that. But when you really feel into it and pay attention to it, start to ask yourself, how do I know the parallel doesn't extend beyond this life? How do you know that after you've lived a fully invested life where you really believe that you are you and Mia is Mia, that upon death, you won't wake up back to a true reality and go, oh my gosh, I really thought I was there. I had the craziest, most extended dream where I was this being living this life. So working with the dream as a potential parallel metaphor for death, even without any kind of advanced training tactics, this is a beautiful way just to start to explore whether, life is so concrete and death is so concrete, or if there is this more kind of like fluid moving transformation of consciousness that takes us through our different stages of life and into the death state as well. Now, a second powerful way to work with the fear of death requires some lucidity. The cool thing about getting lucid in your dreams is now you're able to access this amazing, intelligent, responsive consciousness, your consciousness, the super consciousness. And the couple things you can do here which are really useful. So one, when you get lucid, summon a personification of your fear of death. My fear of death, come here. And you'll see everyone sort of constitutes the personification a little differently. But when you actually summon that aspect of yourself, you can start to have a dialogue. And just like with any other kind of shadow or aspect or psyche integration, you'll find there's incredible amounts of layers that can be reclaimed and reintegrated. So when you wake back into waking state, it's with a deeper sense of fearlessness and a deeper sense of understanding. So that's one way you can kind of work intentionally with that. Another way, I'm not going to spoil what happens, my mentor Andrew Holacek taught me this technique, and I find it really good in terms of the practice of ego dissolution and the practice of preparation of death, is when you're in a lucid dream to just fall backwards and see what happens. The third technique is the most advanced. But before I share that, make sure we stay in touch and subscribe to the channel. So this technique is called either wild, so wake-induced lucid dream, or falling asleep conscious, FAC. And essentially what this practice does, and what you train to do in this practice, is to enter into the dream state without losing consciousness. So you would do this after you've already had your deep sleep, sort of later into the night, into the morning, and you train using meditation to be able to stay conscious as your body transitions from, wakefulness into the hypnagogic, into sleep paralysis, through sleep paralysis, into the dream itself. Now, if you can maintain consciousness the whole way through, which is quite a journey, you will have the extraordinary experience of moving from what feels like, physically located consciousness, being in your physical body in bed, to popping into an entirely different reality without blacking out once. I mean, this practice is, for me, what completely revolutionized my relationship with death. The thing with other kinds of practices like psychedelics, there's always this kind of doubt, like, was it real? When you practice something like this, where you're fully sober, you're working just with the true nature of your mind, you have an experience like that, it changes you forever. So that one definitely takes a bit more training, but it will rewire something inside of your brain. And I know for me personally, it shifted my relationship with death. I started to feel inside, viscerally, held in my body for the first time, that maybe a physically located consciousness isn't all there is.